Have you felt that way? Or maybe you felt this complete boredom. Or maybe you've been really excited about summer coming. Or maybe you've had all sorts of feelings, if you're like me, since all of this quarantine stuff happened. So today we're going to be looking at an art form called Expressionism. And what I love about Expressionism is it helps us remember that all those feelings that we might be having are totally normal and that they can find a place for expression in art. And that art could be visual art, that could be writing, that could be dance. But one of the amazing things about art is that it helps us find a place to express what's happening on the inside. So let's take a look at a really famous painting by Edvard Munch. And I'm guessing if you're like me, maybe would have thought that his last name was Munch, but he was a Norwegian artist, and so you actually say it, Edvard Munch. So we're looking at a famous painting called The Scream, made in 1893, but obviously still relevant today. So some things that you need to know about this project. As mentioned before, we're studying an art form called Expressionism. You are going to be using this famous painting as kind of a launching point of your own art. And also, I hope you know that we would love to see what you make. This could be sent via email, this could be shared on Flipgrid, or if you turn in your assignment in Google Classroom, please attach a photo so we can see what you've made. So, a little bit about Edvard Munch. Let me move myself away from the map here. Okay, so as I mentioned before, he was from Norway. His art was known for capturing intense emotion. And so he was very influential in Expressionism during the 20th century. And he's probably most known for The Scream, although he was a prolific painter and printmaker, making over 1,000 different pieces of art, some that you see featured here. Now, a little bit more about Expressionism. This is an art and cultural movement of the 20th century. And Expressionistic artists really tried to show what it felt like to be alive and to share an emotional experience rather than painting a physical reality. And that's something that I mentioned before that can be really helpful about art, is that it's a way to kind of bring the inside out and to show the subtleties of what we're feeling. Sometimes we think, you know, there's just like sad, mad, glad, but there's actually a lot of different feelings that are normal, and bringing them to be visible or to be known can help us kind of figure them out, and then to also move through feelings to maybe more positive feelings. So let's take a look at what was actually happening for Edvard Munch during his painting. He was capturing an experience that he had with some friends walking across a bridge, and you can see the two figures here of his friends. And let's see what he says about this moment. I was walking along the road with two friends. The sun was setting. Suddenly, the sky turned blood red. Now, we've certainly, being people who live in Colorado, seen some amazing sunrises and sunsets with just gorgeous colors. So you may have had a moment like this, maybe not associating the sky with blood per se, but something that was really powerful and beautiful. Now, Edvard pauses and he says that feeling exhausted and leaning on the fence, there was blood and tongues of fire above the blue-black fjord and the city. My friends walked on, and I stood there trembling with an anxiety, and I sensed an infinite scream passing through nature. And I thought that it was interesting that the scream could actually be translated the scream of nature. And so he's having this very emotional moment that I'm sure we've had in different ways, feeling exhausted, had that for sure. Feeling a trembling, like a physical reaction to anxiety or fear. I don't know about you, but I've certainly had that in my life. And he looks around, he kind of is interpreting nature through his own feelings. And so he's feeling kind of this internal and external scream. And maybe you've had some moments where you literally wanted to, right? And that's totally normal. So let's take a closer look at some of his other interpretations of this moment. So when Edvard is trying to communicate his emotions, this subject matter of the man screaming on the bridge, he tests out some different colors. And we've talked about this in art, that colors can communicate emotion. And take a look here at 4 different versions of the same piece. What do you notice about the colors? Which one do you think best captures the feeling of that experience? It's interesting to note that he picks the one that seems to have the most balance between the warm colors, the cool colors, and the neutrals. Other versions seem to focus on one of the color schemes more than the other, which is really interesting. Now, you've probably seen his painting, and you may have even seen some pieces like this, where artists have taken his work and played around with that composition because he's expressing really human emotions. I think a lot of different people connect to his pieces and have explored it in, oh my gosh, all different kinds of mediums here. Hair, whoa, tattoos, weavings, food, etchings, digital art. It's really a fun piece to explore. Some vocabulary I'd like you to be aware of. Composition, we've talked about in some of our other pieces, is the placement or arrangement of visual elements. One thing that you'll notice in his piece that we talked about just a couple weeks ago was the use of a foreground, middle ground, and background. So be sure to look at that, see what's been placed where. You're going to see a number of different colors, one of which will be cool colors. Those are generally greens, blues, and violets. You're going to see reference a master copy, and this is your own reproduction of an artwork by another artist, which can be a great way to learn. Neutral colors we've talked about before, browns, blacks, grays, whites. A lot of times these can help create the feeling of memory or a place, which is something interesting to note. Edvard Munch definitely uses perspective in his drawing. This is a way to create the illusion of space. And you'll notice that, especially on the bridge, because the bridge appears smaller further back and then wider toward the foreground or front of the art. Subject matter, refers to the what of an artwork, what's happening, recognizable features there. Warm colors, yellows, reds, oranges, often associated with a fire, sun. And then last, style, and that is the how of an artwork. So the artist has a subject that, that he or she is exploring, and style refers to how they're going to use the materials, the subject, the design to communicate. The elements of art that you're going to be looking at specifically are color, line, the use of space, and then also the principles of art, emphasis, definitely emphasizing the figure in the front with the emotion. And you'll definitely notice a strong sense of movement, the flow of the colors across the piece of art. Part one, I would like you to create a master copy, and this could be done on whatever surface you have available. So it could be a paper or a piece of cardboard, and you're going to sketch out the basic layout or contour lines of Edvard Munch's piece. You can choose to go over that piece with Sharpie and to add other details and lines. And then you're going to be filling in with the warm, the cools, and the neutrals. The medium that you choose is up to you. If you want to try this with paint, you could certainly get some great blending. You could use pastels, you could use crayons, markers, watercolor. That part is up to you and what you would like to explore. Of course, we would love for you to share your work and your process and just what you thought about as you were making this. There's a second part to the project, and then this kind of launches from Edvard Munch's art. And I would like you to create a little mini version. And this could be done on just like an index card, like a small little piece of paper. And what you're going to be doing is recreating that image again, except you're going to include what you think could be causing or evoking that scream. And you're going to draw it into the picture. You might want to brainstorm some different things, and this could be relevant to what we're going through right now in the world. So maybe you're going to be drawing, a virus monster or something like that. Or it could be connected to something else, just even out of your imagination, like, an alien spaceship landing or something like that. So I'd like just a little mini sketch of your favorite creative reason of what could cause someone to be screaming. And then we'd love for you to share that as well. All right. So thank you, artists. I'm looking forward to seeing your art, seeing how it made you feel. Hopefully it helps you to process through some feelings you might be having. And then next week, we're going to be looking at a final project that really looks to the future with hope. And so I think this may get us moving in the right direction. Thank you, students. And I look forward to seeing your art and your smiling faces soon.